Yo, what's good, your boy Cyber 706. This is the Dirty Nation Report, the official podcast of Falcons Twitter. We bike. What's good? We have your girl Lucas Saint and the legend. Go on. And nobody's gonna talk. That's great. So it's been a long hiatus. We're back. Yeah, Falcons finished 7-10 again. Shout out to Arthur Smith and Terry and them. But there's been a lot of optimism surrounding this Falcons season. A lot of cap, a lot of copium, just a lot of out here in Falcons land. But we do want to initially start out with our thoughts on the end of the season, or just the season in general. Not gonna lie, the Falcons Twitter makes me not want to be a Falcons supporter. I've said this many times. Y'all are annoying. Y'all are mad annoying. For the people out here that want to be less annoyed like myself, you can make like a separate tab on Twitter where you can just follow people that aren't annoying. So 90% of the time, I don't see any of these bad Falcons takes until I get bored and maybe want to troll, and I start going on the other side of that page and looking for y'all's bad takes. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now with the Falcons. We'll get into more of that later, but yeah, but we're here. It was good.
Oof, we are here. Yeah,
Go
it's my
dogs.
fault. Oh yeah, go dogs. Woof. I'm a
All
dog.
right, stop.
Guys, forget. We back to back. Woof woof. That's double woof for back
We,
to
she says.
dog fans. Woof woof. But nah, it's my fault again. But I'm ready to come back, talk about these Falcons. Why? I don't know. I think I like this pain for some godforsaken reason. And Breed is right. Y'all are fucking annoying on Falcons Twitter. Like, I don't even tweet about them no more because everything someone says, y'all have something to say, and it's usually stupid and wrong. So yeah, but we are here again to talk about.
I don't partake in drugs, and the amount of copium that Falcons fans do would make somebody else go crazy. So I don't even be participating with them half the time. There's like 4 or 5 people that I talk to, and then even then it's sporadic because I just don't enjoy watching the Falcons. Not my cup of tea team.
I mean, yeah, we'll be labeled as haters, but it is what it is. Like, I know it may come across a way, but I'm in this day and age with like sports or even the Falcons specifically, having a wait and see mentality just automatically gets you deemed as a hater. Like, critically thinking about anything in regards to the team, you're labeled a hater. Like, thinking outside the box and outside of the group think that's on Twitter, you're a hater. So that's what it is, and I'm a Falcons hater then, because that's my brain works. I don't have to like look at your tweet and then copy it and say literally the same thing 30 times on the timeline. RB1, Ritter season, unicorn, goat, he's him. That's like 99% of the timeline about like 3 players. I'm just like, bro, come on, dog. Like this can't be real life. This can't be what my life has come to. So y'all gotta
don't make one play and they're automatically saying he's him. Like
he's him needs to stay in 2022.
Nope. We're not doing that.
The future.
Himothy Shamali, you know, like all the on the Himbalins, like nah, that's fire.
Okay.
Stop being 60.
Oh my god.
So as a resident young bull here, then you know I gotta tell you to stop being old. All right, what are we talking? We're talking about the season at first. Let's do with that. Let's get that out the way.
Yeah.
This
7-10, baby. Woo, let's go.
We did it.
Go.
Yeah. I thought there was no way. I mean, I guess you can say it was good coaching. I think it was mostly luck. But there was no way in hell I thought they were going to win 7 games this year. Like, of course, you know, they got extremely lucky in about 4 of those wins, but luck counts for something, I guess. But, I mean, good season, I guess. Like, they didn't improve or get worse, so I guess it was okay. But, I mean, there was some good stuff throughout the season. Finding out Tyler Algier is actually good was a
Yeah.
big help. Um, Drake London seems to be at least at the worst high end wide receiver too, which is great. I don't know how smart it is to invest top 10 pick on a wide receiver too, but you know, to each their own.
Whew.
O line looked good when you can do nothing but run the ball the entire time, so that's I guess good to see because that's all Arthur Smith is good at. So I mean, building up to your strengths. Uh, I'm not saying anything about the defense that hasn't already been said. Pass rush was terrible. They finished with I think 21 sacks on the season, and 4 or 5 of them were from linebackers and corners and safeties. Cornerback play was actually good for most of the season until Casey Hayward went down and Isaiah Oliver went out for a little bit. I thought that group was pretty much like the strength of the defense, which is kind of what we expected. Linebacker group I thought was kind of terrible. I think everybody sucked there besides like Rashawn Evans and I guess Lorenzo Carter, but even though I count him as more of an edge in the linebacker. Didn't really see too much from Richie Grant to inspire him to be like a full-time starter for the next couple seasons, which is unfortunate. Jalen Hawkins might suck. He's good depth piece. AJ Terrell had a rough couple weeks, but he was good all year. He was still extremely all Pro Bowl caliber corner, and then you could tell the difference when he got hurt. So, uh, that's about it. That's like only thing good I saw in the season. Everything else is just like you have to wait and see because people didn't either play enough or they were hurt all season. So like, I guess they did good this year. I mean, I don't fucking know.
Let's take a rundown memory lane real quick because it was a long season, 17 games. Goes by quick, but a lot happens in that 17-game season. So first game of the year, we lose to the Saints 27-26. Then we lose to the Rams 31-27. Then surprisingly, we beat the Seahawks 27-23. Geno Smith was a huge surprise this year. Geno Smith would have been a great bridge quarterback instead of Marcus Mariota, but we didn't know that. Hindsight's 2020.
Yeah.
We beat the Browns.
Geno was never leaving the Seahawks, though.
Yeah. We beat the Browns 22-20 when they were playing with all of their backup defensive linemen. Was that game or was that the 49ers?
The Browns game? That was the 49ers game and the Browns game because that was the week that Myles Garrett had his car crash.
Yes.
And Myles Garrett had his car crash, and 3 of their 5 rotation players were hurt, too.
All right.
So
then we lost to the Buccaneers 21-15. And then I was talking to my homeboy, shout out to the homie from Gary, the 49ers, which was, I think, the inflection point of Falcons mania and madness because we beat the 49ers. We'll get back to them in a little while, but we beat them 20-14. They had a lot of backups as well, but also I think that was like the last game they lost, right? Because I think they went on like a 10-game winning streak after that, or something.
They're literally on like a 13-game winning streak since. So
everything
Jesus Christ. Yes. So
what it gets.
So you have the pendulum swing with peak mania of people thinking the Falcons are like a legitimate team to getting packed up the next week against the Bengals 35-17. Then we beat the Panthers 37-34 in overtime. We'll come back to that.
That was the stupidest game. Actually, the game after that was the stupidest game.
That goes back to the whole the Falcons are lucky Jalen Evergreen tweet. Next week, we lose to the Chargers 20-17.
That was the stupidest game I've ever witnessed in my life. And based on the way the Chargers just lost in the playoffs, they earned their title of Falcons West. So,
Duval.
Shout out my boy Trevor Lowe.
Hey, yes, the Georgia's finest, Trevor Lawrence. Let's see. We lost to the Panthers 25-15. After that, we won the Fields Pitts Bowl season, the first version of that. We'll have another swing at that next year as we do play the Bears again. We beat them 27-24. Probably come back to that as well. We lost to the Commanders 19-13. Lost to the Steelers 19-16. Lost to the Saints 21-18. Lost to the Ravens. This starts our 4-game losing streak. 17-9. And then we beat the Cardinals 20-19, which come back to that as well. And then we beat Tom Brady 30-17 in the final game.
Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
We did it.
Yes.
Look, that's the only game I'm saying was fun for me because it counted. Fuck what anybody says. He didn't play the second half. Don't care. Still beat him. He lost to us finally. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, it looks like you took a little of the copium right there, but you got to take a small
You see,
a little toot of that copium.
was that the week? I think that was the week before the Ohio State game, right? The Georgia-Ohio State game. Either that or the week of. So I was either hyped up on Georgia UGA football or something, because that was the only time I was just like, and I didn't even watch the rest of that game. After halftime, I said, okay, I know how this is going.
You said, fuck it.
Yeah, I didn't care.
So I put a couple pins in a couple of these games, and this is what I'll say. Not looking at the record, there was some positives. Again, like Jalen mentioned, Tyler Algier is a legitimate NFL running back. Great surplus value with him getting him in the 5th round. Your man's Drake London, outside of the little fumbly snafus, is a solid NFL player, right? He's not Julio Jones 2.0 like somebody I had to block on Twitter was talking about, which confused me. Yeah, which confused me a lot. And it seems as if we've established an identity as a running team. And that's something we can do very well, which brings up other questions for me later down the line. But, we'll take what we can get. Let's see what else. All right, so the first game of the season, we lose to the Aints, and that was a pretty interesting game because we were beating their ass the entire game. And then Jameis Winston,
until the fourth quarter, it was God.
Did what he usually does against the Falcons. So that was problematic.
It was crazy. That was the one game Michael Thomas played this year where he was somewhat healthy. He literally had 3 catches and 2 of them were touchdowns. I was like, okay.
Wow.
The Rams, we lost to them. They're not the beast that we thought.
The fake comeback game.
Yeah. The reverse of what happened the week before against the Saints, because they were dominating us the entire game. Then we want to rally in the 4th quarter and be those plucky Falcons. And then we beat the Seahawks. Don't care about that. Well, don't care about that. The Browns is interesting because again, I know it's a 1-score games, any given Sunday type shit. But essentially with the Browns, we're playing their backup quarterback, and I mean, hindsight, Deshaun Watson, aka the Nasty Man, isn't not looking as good as people would have thought. But also, he didn't play for the first, how many
11 weeks.
So that is what it is. But also, again, their entire defensive line was out, so we pulled that off by 3 points, and it begs the question that if they are a fully healthy squad, then what happens. But injuries are part of the game, so I'm not going to use that as an excuse. But it is a reason to point at, not to, make the Falcons something that they're not. Lost to the Buccaneers because that's what we do. We never beat Tom Brady to this point, so why would we be surprised? The 49ers game was also interesting because essentially we were playing a backup quarterback. I know Jimmy Garoppolo was the starter last year, but Trey Lance was deemed the starter at the beginning of the season. And they also had a lot of injuries on the defensive line, which begs the question if they weren't decimated.
It wasn't even just a D line. It was their entire defense. They had their top 2 corners out. A safety was out. One of their 2 all-pro linebackers was out. The entire D line was out. It was just everybody.
A win is a win. A win is a win.
All right.
Okay.
I'm talking about me on the copium. Look at her.
Yeah, she's fully venously injecting the copium. All right, so then we lose to the Bengals, of course, the team that was in the Super Bowl last year, and we got cooked. That was not pretty at all.
Game wasn't close.
It wasn't close. It's disgusting. All right, and that's kind of what you want to measure your team is like, hey, we're trying to be a team that's going to be a perennial playoff team that at some point is going to have to face, an AFC opponent if you were to make it to the Super Bowl. We got to be able to measure it with teams like the Bengals, who had a very awesome worst to first story, but kind of the key factors of that worst to first is having another thing we'll probably talk about a little later is a quarterback. But all right, so the Panthers W, man, I get
The
injuries are part of
luckiest
the
team in the
game.
league, bro.
Bro, come on, man. That doesn't make any sense.
It did
Like I can't honestly count like as a fan, I feel like if you're honest with yourself, you can't count that as a legitimate W. Because your man's DJ Moore was wilding. Like that game is over. Over, I say. And he decides to forget the rules of the game. Those
And even then, bro, he missed like a 35-yard field goal,
Bam.
bro. That's routine. Like,
So I again, like Lethal said, a win is a win, but I can't take that seriously. After that, I was like, nah, bro, that should like how you were saying you didn't think how we could win 7 games. About 3 of these games, if things were par for the course, like average, like in a vacuum, I don't think we went in about 3 of those games I just mentioned. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like Jalen said earlier, we got lucky in some of these games, and that is one of them. I always say a win is a win because fuck that man
nope.
over
Watch
there
him out.
in
He better be in the Super Bowl
California.
again.
Okay.
Yeah. On the Chargers, the interesting part about that is like I actually forgot about how that game transpired.
Stupidest game
People
ever.
were talking about the whole Drake London fumbles later in the season, and I completely forgot that Khalil Mack just took the ball from that man and ran the other way on that one play. I was like, "Yep, that's a grown man playing football, my guy." So that was hilarious. I got a good chuckle out of that. The second Panthers game, I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember what happened in that game, but we lost. But again, with the
They got
Panthers,
250 yards run down their throat.
and this is after they trade their best running back. Is their
Yeah.
coach fired at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
that's troubling. That a team that fired their coach and traded their best player almost won the division. But that's another story for another day. Bears game, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch that game. I caught the end
I'm
of
gonna
it.
let you know right now that game was luck too.
Oh god. Well, yeah,
The
your man
Cordero
Justin Fields.
Patterson, if they didn't, because it was Cordero Patterson having the kickoff return, which shout out
Oh
to
yeah,
CP, and then immediately right after that they had like a fumble on like a routine like run, and they got 3 points out of it, and they won the game out what like 3.
yep.
Yeah.
And Justin Fields
That's
got
10
hurt
points
again.
right there. They didn't score again pretty much the rest of the game against the
Yeah.
Bears.
Yeah.
And then the end of that game, Justin Fields got hurt, and like he was clearly hurt. I don't know what kind of plays their coach is running. Like, hey, let's just keep running quarterback sweeps when this man clearly cannot get off the ground. But then he came back like 2 weeks later and was breaking like 60-yard runs. So
Yeah,
shout out to Justin
he's
Fields.
he's a tank, man. No comment.
Washington
Bro.
Commanders, we lost 19-13. Not gonna lie, I don't remember what happened in that game either. Don't care.
Any game
We're
against the
playing-
Commandos, I just don't care about, bro. Like
yeah,
they lost, they suck.
the Steelers L, Saints another L, and that was against Andy Dalton. Which, again, this man Taysom Hill, like, give him the keys to the city. Give him the keys to the city.
Oh yeah, I
Like,
would
he
absolutely
owns-
love that. Just go ahead and give him keys to the Saints, not the Falcons. 'Cause give him. I mean, I can't even say that he beat us He beat us twice last year. So I mean, well, once last year. So
He literally beat us by himself this year. Like, y'all know when that man gets in the game, he's finna get busy, and he still does it. It's like, y'all know we finna get this man the ball. We give him the ball, and looky here, he breaks a 50-yard run. Like, this shit is disgusting. It's embarrassing.
it's the
It's
same thing
unacceptable.
like Justice Mosqueda said. He always said about Aaron Rodgers how Aaron Rodgers always pump fakes a pass like 1 yard from the like line of scrimmage, and everybody falls for it every time. Like he's running the ball. He's done it for like 10 years, and nobody ever catches on to it. Like Taysom Hill comes into the game, he is getting the ball. It doesn't matter what he's doing. He is touching the ball.
Right. And I don't know why nobody has figured that out by now.
Everybody's stupid, man. That like teams and coaches be outthinking themselves.
So
Hashtag Galaxy Brain. So the Ravens, we lost, but I mean, I thought it was gonna be a loss because Lamar Jackson wasn't playing, but we still lost to another backup, which is problematic.
That's
But
fun.
you know, it is what it is.
The usual.
And then this is where the Ritter mania starts to take off against the Cardinals, where we won 2019 again, playing
Nah,
football.
Ritter Mania started in that Saints game when he looked completely terrible, and then looked slightly better against Baltimore, and then looked slightly better again against Arizona.
For what my TL showed was about week 8 was Ritter Mania.
That was that when like people were calling for him. That's probably when people were like calling
Yeah.
for him
Well,
heavy.
people are calling for him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was about week 8 with the people that I haven't muted. Yeah.
And he was, I believe, pedestrian in the Cardinals game, and that was another game where Jalen's evergreen tweet about luck. I think he tweeted out the like, what Buda Baker got hurt, he was out. They're missing a lot of people. Kyler Murray wasn't
Kyler Murray
playing.
got hurt the week before.
Yeah,
Like
and I think if I'm not mistaken, the quarterback was it the quarterback they decided to start. No, I'm
yeah,
tripping.
he
I'm
got
tripping.
hurt. He was gone. He was trying to test it out in pregame. He got hurt, so they went to their third string, and we still almost lost.
Well, I think the dude that ended up starting, he didn't find out he was playing until like Friday or something like that. Some wild shit.
Yeah,
Like, and we still only pulled it out by 1 point, which again, quote unquote, a win is a win. But if Kyler Murray is playing, and I hate to be that guy, because again, I'm gonna sound like a hater. Um, but if he's in that game, that's an L, right? And then peak Ritter Mania is when we played the Bucks. We beat them 30-17. Mind you, in this game, because the end was so great for the quote unquote triplets, which I use loosely, people want to ignore the fact that on the very first drive of the game, Tom Brady marched they happy asses right down the field, scored a touchdown like a hot knife through butter. I was like, bro, what is going on? Do you guys have
had
no
2 drives
shame?
after that and never touched the field again.
Do you not have any? Do you not have any pride? Right. Um, so that was the game where Ritter had his 2 touchdown performance. Tyler Algier had 134 yards rushing, become the second Falcons rookie running back to rush for 1,000 yards, which for you guys doing the math at home equals 58.8 yards per game. And Drake London had 6 receptions for 120 yards. So that's where a lot of the copium started being sold to the fans at a very fast rate, maybe half price off, because they look at that and they use that as a point of positivity moving forward, which is cool. But I mean, if we're gonna be honest with ourselves, which a lot of Falcons fans are not,
Mhm.
they're playing a team that had no need or no motivation to give it their all, as they had already made the playoffs. Now, people say, "Oh, you don't go out there and guys aren't out there not playing for real," or well, let's be honest.
Let's be okay.
Everybody's
If,
had
to those people,
everybody.
I will say they, the announcer said it about 6 times for 6 different players. Yeah, this guy hasn't played all season. This is his first time getting snaps all season. And
Yeah,
how many points did we put up?
30, well, 30-17. That was final score. So
Okay, so we put up 20 points after that, and 10 points before they did that. So like, you don't again. The whole thing about the season was I needed them to tell me or show me where they were at, and I still have like
None.
barely an inkling of where they're at.
Yes. And that's like the most fucking frustrating part for me and the few people that I haven't muted is where the fuck do we stand? Like as a coaching staff point, as a player staff point, like as a fucking front office standpoint, like we don't know where we are. Okay, we finished 7-10. That's cool and all, but that's still not good enough. Like we've come off this big ass high and it's been downhill ever since that game that we don't talk about. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing that they've done. There's like there's barely any moves that they've done that make any fucking sense. And it's so fucking frustrating because, like, where are we? I know we're gonna get into QB talk, but that's like one of the biggest fucking things. Is I don't know whose bright idea. I want to blame the trust fund baby for this of keeping Mariota in as long as he did when we didn't give the other guy, which we'll get into soon, an opportunity to fucking show like what like he didn't get a fair shot to show his skills in my opinion. I mean, what was it, 3, 4 fucking games? Wasn't long
4
enough.
games exactly, which
Yeah,
I
to
said at the
show
beginning of
like
the season
what the
was
fuck is going
doomsday.
on. And thank you, Marcus, for bringing up Patterson right now. Fuck it, we can't rely on Patterson for the rest of our fucking lives to make a fucking play. What about every other fucking kid on the team? We're paying them all this fucking money, Pitts, London, whoever the fuck else, to make these glorious plays, and can't nobody do it, whether it's their fault or the quarterback's fault or the O line's fault. And that's hella frustrating. So
I,
we're sitting here in limbo, like, dude, what's next? Just
I
waiting.
still don't know like if the lack of production for like multiple receivers is a quarterback issue, if it's an O line issue, or if it's like an Arthur Smith issue. Again, I don't know much about this team like at all, and I don't know if that's a good thing going into year 3. Like we'll definitely see more about it next year because they'll have money and now the free agent signs will probably lean you to where they're going. But like I don't know, bro. I don't know. They didn't really do anything this year to inspire hope that they're on the like super right path.
Well, I mean, what about the being a top 5 running attack? Like, isn't that a
Yeah,
piece
that's
to
good. But what has the teams who've been like top 5 running attacks without a pass game done ever?
You took my thought right out of my head. So that was one thing I actually want to hit up Aaron Freeman, shout out to Lockdown Falcons, check them out 5 days a week. But one question I did want to send to the mailbag was like what was the last team that had like that was top 5 in rushing in the last decade that like won a Super Bowl? And I'm not saying that to say that we can't build off that, but I mean as a like fundamental starting point. Like what is the last team to be successful only being like one dimensional? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because I know like when the Falcons went to the Super Bowl, they were top 5 in rushing then, but they also had a prolific passing attack too. So like
Yes.
maybe I was gonna say the Rams, but they had a really good passing attack too. They didn't really run the ball, so I don't know.
Yeah. So I think it's a piece to build upon, but this kind of well, I'll get to the quarterback in a second, but to the point about not really knowing anything regarding like the receiving position, right? So for whatever reason, which again, I don't know if this is a coaching thing, but I don't think there's an excuse. Well, it could be a quarterback limitation thing, but I hate to do this. But with Kyle Pitts, right?
Mhm.
You have a full off season to work on Marcus Mariota, right? And I understand that he is not the greatest passer. We saw him do a lot of questionable things in the field.
Whew.
But in the same breath, if you were the player that was sold to us as a once in a generation talent at tight end, you know what I'm saying? What is it? Too big for linebackers or too fast for linebackers, too big for safeties. I feel like at that point, there should be some, hey, just throw me the ball type of plays in your playbook and let him make plays. Like, I don't think you have to get super galaxy brain with the scheme. Like, hey, this dude is 6'6", runs a 4.5, whatever he does, has these long arms, big hands. We can't find a way to make him a dynamic playmaker consistently, right? Because you see, he got hurt, and Michael Pruitt comes in, who I believe was an undrafted or unsigned player. He was a guy on the bottom of the roster, comes in and makes an immediate impact in the red zone, scoring touchdowns. And we're just like, how does this doesn't make any sense. Like, this dude wasn't even slated to play at all, and he comes in and makes an impact. He had like 3 or 4 touchdowns this year.
Yeah.
So I'm just I don't understand how that works. And just even looking at other teams, like I'll tweet out all the time, they're like, hey, look at a team using their tight end. Hey, look at a team using their tight end. And these guys don't have a tenth of the talent that Kyle Pitts has, but they seem to be more dynamic playmakers, and that is frustrating for me, for a team that drafted a tight end at number 4, creating a precedence that didn't exist that I don't think was needed. And if you're going to do that, then he's got to be more dynamic than that. I'm not putting all the blame on him, right? But he's got to have a piece of the blame pie, if that makes sense.
Again, this is again. It's not like slandering Kyle Pitts at all, because like again, I think he's a good player. I think he has the potential to be like a top 10 player in the NFL. Like if they actually gave him the ball and everything, but it's also why I kept calling him a wide receiver all last year, because like that's pretty much the only way he's gonna ever get touches, and like especially in this offense, like I don't even know, because like they just didn't. I don't know what's going. I don't know what is with. Maybe it was a quarterback play. Who knows? We'll see next year, I guess. But like this is like the second year in a row where like somebody who is supposed to have like a lot more stats just didn't get the stats that they needed to get based on their like talent level. And I don't know if that's an Arthur Smith thing. Again, I don't know if it's a quarterback thing. I don't know if it's an old line. I don't know. We don't know yet. But
Right.
like we'll see next year, I guess. I mean, I don't know.
We
Well,
we gonna see.
I guess my problem, shout out to Carlos. Yeah, a lot of fans won't live in reality and say
Nah,
that that's
man.
what.
BPA tight end at 4 is a great pick. Who cares? BPA. That's all that matters. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, it matters till it doesn't matter. So we'll definitely see, and that's where it kind of ties to the quarterback thing, where I'm. Hmm, there's two ways you can go with Desmond Ritter, because I
They
wasn't
did him a
overly
disservice.
who Desmond Ritter.
They did Desmond Ritter a disservice
Yes, they
because
did.
I mean, again, take it with a grain of salt. You know, Cam Marino has been wrong about stuff before. I don't know if he's actually an insider. I don't care either, but he was saying like I don't know about halfway through the season when everybody was calling for Ritter that the coaching staff doesn't really like care for Ritter like that much because he hasn't really improved much. Again, don't know how true that is. Don't really care. It could be true. It could be false. It doesn't really matter. But they did him a disservice because if you only gave him 4 games to start and you weren't like completely sure that you were going to play him next year, then it is kind of fucked for him because we could throw the Lamar Jackson stuff in there right now. Because for some reason, Lamar Jackson's name keeps getting brought up with Atlanta. Like every time somebody's mentioning Lamar and like where he should be going or what's going on, they're always like, "Yeah, be on the lookout for Atlanta." Like Ben Albright, who's been pretty much right about everything Atlanta the last couple of years, has been saying, "Yeah, I think Atlanta's going to be in the front of the line. They're going to try to get him." And I'm just like, if you did all that with the intention of just having like Desmond Ritter as a good backup, then I sure. But like, if you waited 4 weeks and you're banking your entire like offensive system around him, then you kind of did yourself. You did both of yourself and your team a disservice because we don't know if he's good or not.
Right.
His first 2 games, albeit he went against the Saints, who have a good defense, he should have had 4 picks and 3 picks in that game.
Jesus Christ, yo, yeah, man,
He got he people are gonna be like he didn't throw any interceptions. He threw about 4 of them. They just didn't catch him.
yeah.
And like he didn't look like great in the next game. He looked average against the Cardinals, and then he looked okay against the Buccaneers second string, which is hilarious because I made a joke how everybody kept bringing up his preseason stuff. I was like, yeah, he looked great against backups. So I was like, when he played the Bucks this year, well, the last game, I was like, yeah, he looks great again when he went against backup. I guess he's playing against his peers. Because, like,
Yeah.
that's the only time he's looked, like, exceptionally good. Like, he's looked good in spots, which is backup worthy. Like, that's just what backups do. They look good in spots. But you can't, like, win with them, really. So, like,
Well,
I don't...
that's kind of the thing, though. It's like, so again, it's gonna come on this more hate. So I'm gonna explain myself, and I understand where the hype is. Essentially, I am
As
gonna
much as people
pair.
think I don't hate Desmond Ritter at all, I don't hate him. I liked his tape. I think he's boring as hell. but I don't hate him. I think he's a solid quarterback, which is fine.
Well, what I will say is I understand the reasoning. Again, I'm going to parrot a lot of the takes of Aaron Freeman because he's smarter than 99% of you guys on Twitter. And I'm not going to waste my time repeating stupid stuff you guys say. But the reason there is to have optimism about Desmond Ritter is because of the costs, right? There's some super analytical stuff that he brought up regarding like teams that are able to build like championship rosters. You can get the most bang for your buck if you have a quarterback that you can pay pennies on the dollar. So I think in 4 years, Desmond Ritter's only going to cost like something like $4 million, which gives you the
Yeah, he's
flexibility to build a team around him, which is the model kind of, and it's a not necessarily the same conceptually. It's the same though, but kind of like with the 49ers where you have Alex Smith come in there and keep them a, I guess, a perennial playoff team until they have the team built and the capital around them to go get Patrick Mahomes. Now, there's three things that went very right in those situations. The first thing is,
Alex Smith.
regardless
The
of
crazy part is the only reason why they were able to go get Patrick Mahomes is because Alex Smith got hurt. Like they got lucky. They traded up like 3 spots, but they got lucky because Alex Smith was hurt, which made them lose all the games to make them miss the playoffs, which made them pick 14, which eventually went to 12.
yeah, so there's a little bit of revisionist history there, but to stay in that lane with revisionist history, the other thing is that they have a Hall of Fame coach in Andy Reid, right? So that also helps. And then also too, for whatever knocks people have on Alex Smith, he still was he the first overall pick out of Utah?
I don't know about first over. He may have been like second or third. I don't know about
He
first.
was a first round draft pick. So for even the knocks they had on Alex Smith, he still was a first round level talent, right? We have none of those things here. We clearly don't know what Arthur Smith is as a head coach. We know he's not, outside of what the people on the internet say and insiders say that he's kind of like some sort of play calling savant. I haven't seen it yet. Maybe it's
I don't
still
see it.
maybe it's still cooking, but he's not Andy Reid. Desmond Ritter is not a first round talent, right? And we're not winning games. So again, I get the concept to have a cheap quarterback to build a roster, but the thing is, he has to be good enough to keep us as at least 500, which is quite possible next year. But again, these one score
Hopefully,
games,
because we haven't been above 500 in 4 seasons at all. So
Goodness gracious.
yeah,
It's like
that's
if
the
we
thing.
don't go after Lamar, like we got to give this man a chance. Lamar or who else were they talking about? Derek Carr.
yeah, if they go for after Derek Carr, they might as well just keep Lamar. I mean Desmond Ritter because they're the same player at this point.
Yeah, like we got to give Ritter a chance. I don't know why most of you people are going ham on Ritter after fucking 4 games. He hasn't even had the opportunity to get all the fucking little jitters out. And he can get fucking better over the offseason and surprise us, but we have to give him a chance. So, and a lot of the you same people don't want to draft a quarterback. We all want to draft the best player available.
No, they
So,
don't.
I
No,
They
they
want to
swear,
don't.
trap the
I
yeah,
swear,
they
they're
don't.
like, no, we want the best player available. No quarterback. Like, what the fuck? But you don't want to give Ritter a chance. So, what do you want? Like, stop being so fucking fickle.
I will push back. I will push back every time on the BPA thing. No team ever drafts the best player available, like
Like,
quote unquote best player available, because you're always going to draft put best player available at the position that you need or like the position that you're weakest at. It's never going to be like because I guarantee you the Chiefs, if the best player available is a quarterback, they're gonna be like, let me go take this quarterback real quick. Like, come on.
like, let me tell you, poor Aaron. I don't know how Aaron does it without like cussing everybody out. But why wouldn't he does mock drafts, and they go, why wouldn't you draft the best player available?
Shut up.
I hate him.
So one more thing to get from Aaron and Locked On Falcons with regard to Ritter. I get giving him a chance, but from what he's saying, it's looking like possibly the Arthur Blank is kind of taking a step back, and then that Arthur Smith might get a little bit more runway, which is easier said now. It's either easier said than done, because if we start out 0-4 or something like that, then the conversation will probably quickly change, as it should. But if he's able to build, and it's all kind of depending on what happens with the DC situation, if he can build off this running attack, and again, not saying I want to give Desmond Ritter a chance, but like, in order for this to work, we're going to need a dynamic talent at quarterback. And right now, I'm not seeing that. And again, people pick and choose when they want to take draft grades or the draft process serious. But like, he was drafted in the 3rd round for a reason, right? I know there's, exceptions to the rules, which I don't take into consideration, like the Tom Brady's, or even now maybe a future legend, Brock Purdy. But again, he fell into a great situation, so you can't really necessarily
Any quarterback. I think Desmond Ritter would look like a top 3 quarterback in Kyle Shanahan's system. It's just,
I don't know. His deep ball accuracy is kind of questionable. Like I'd be like,
Brock Purdy is not a great quarterback.
I'm not saying he is, but I'm just saying, like, there's situations where it can work with the lesser talent is regarding draft grades. But
you have to be in a good position, and I don't think Arthur Smith is that guy to be that position.
I honestly think if he would hire, or I'd honestly think if he wouldn't call plays.
Yeah,
look,
I don't have a look.
I think there's a place where this can work.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with Arthur Smith as a head coach. I think he's done a good job. Identity, great. It's him calling plays that I have a problem with. Like, and I will continue to have a problem with it because I just don't think he's that good at it. Like, Aaron said to me a couple weeks ago when he was like, "Yeah, Arthur Smith's the guy that kind of like builds things up, but he's never the guy to get you over the hump." And I was like, that makes a lot of sense because I don't think he's good enough to do that. I'm just like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. Maybe I'll be nice to him. So I haven't really been as hard on him as I should be because some of those offensive performances are like just terrible. Like I don't enjoy watching that brand of football. I don't enjoy watching the 2 yard, 4 yard, go for it on 4th and 3 for 2 yards, run. Like that shit is fun in college because people pop off 30, 40-yard runs, but like in the NFL, this shit is just not fun to me to watch. So I have no enjoyment in their offense.
He's frustrating.
Well, also, too, the best version of that is not gonna beat the best version of a passing offense, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, because then they'll just put up points on you immediately, and you'll run out of time. That's why every single game they play will be a close game.
Which is not, to me, a great formula for success. Like, for example, look at the Falcons. Let's take 2 teams. Let's look at the Falcons like, hey, we can methodically move the ball down the field and possibly score a touchdown or field goal. You run up on a team like the Dolphins where you got Jalen Waddle and your man Cheetah out there. They can take a 20-yard slant to the house at the blink of an eye. Or, I'm sorry, Tyreek Hill. Like that is ideal. Like that is an offense that you want to have because you can make something out of nothing. Whereas like, hey, something can go wrong with a running game and it takes too long. There could be a fumble. I'm not saying they can't have that happy in passing, but like if it's nut cutting time at the end of the game, we need to get down the field fast to score. That running the ball that's not gonna help you, bro. So
it's really game remains wholly uninspiring. Even when he was on the Titans, their passing game was wholly uninspiring. However, they did have like a super, super good defense. They actually didn't even have like that good of a defense. Their secondary was shit beside the safety, and their linebackers were okay, but they had 4 or 5 really good defensive linemen. So, like, but that took them like a decade to build.
And that's the thing is
I don't think he has that kind of time.
And that's what will always confuse me with the quarterback situation. Most new GM coaching combinations usually draft a quarterback to kind of have their guy for their regime. And considering that the quarterback situation is still a question, unless you're just fooling on Ritter, for the way that this offense is run, I've said this before, I don't see how Justin Fields doesn't fit perfectly into what Arthur Smith wants to do. He doesn't want to pass the ball. He wants to run the ball. And you have a
Justin
guy,
Fields literally almost broke the record for most rushing in a season by a quarterback.
third quarterback in NFL history to rush for 1,000 yards, right? So
Jeez.
again, we're not asking. He's not asking for dynamic passing game, but like everything else is there. And then also too, when you have a dynamic runner like that at quarterback, that opens up a lot of one-on-one situations, which Justin Fields has the arm to make those plays here and there. As this team is not asking the quarterback to do that a lot. So to me, that'll never make sense. So the thing is like it's going to tell us a lot about how he feels about Ridder in the offseason, um, based on who the backup is, or even if we're still in the market for a veteran QB. Because unless he has a long runway to cook, then if we're out here going like 7-10 again next year and Ritter's not looking great, it's just kind of like, all right, do we give you another chance to get another quarterback? Because you've kind of shown you can't really coach up the guy you have, or at least put the pieces around him for him to be successful, which goes to the best player available talk. There's a lot of semi-trolling about Bijan Robinson, and I was kind of confused on that until I heard smarter people than a lot of people on the internet say that he could be potentially an Adrian Peterson type at running back.
He's very, very good.
And if that's the case, sign me up, right? So you have everybody that's in the Tyler Algier hive, and it's like, oh, Tyler Algier had 1,000-yard rushing. Why we go get another running back? That's dumb. That doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, fam, imagine having a Dodge Charger Scat Pack and turning your nose up to a Ferrari. Like that's how people sound on Twitter.
Why do people
Also,
think that like running back like there's the days of the bell cow running back are over? It's been over for some time now. Like if he looked great being the bell cow, imagine how good he'd look getting like 7 snaps less and still doing that.
or imagine if he gets hurt, what do we do? I know that our running game, all the running backs have like a pretty high success rate. I think like 40% or higher behind this line. But the thing is, if it's that easy for literally almost anybody to get that, imagine
Why
putting
not
a
get more
dynamic,
explosive?
bro. Imagine putting a
Yes.
dynamic runner back there, and also to the point about good teams like having depth, right?
Yes.
I am in the playoffs. I'm a semi degenerate gambler, right? So I got money on the Cowboys. One of the bets I have is for first score is for Ezekiel Elliott, and then Mike Evans for um, the Buccaneers. And I was just doing my piss poor low level research, and I was looking at the running game. So you have Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott, right? Tony Pollard led their team rushing with 1,000 yards, but then Ezekiel Elliott had another 800 yards. Ezekiel Elliott had 12 rushing touchdowns, and Tony Pollard had 9. And I say this to say, it never hurts having two great running backs. Like, why are people turning their nose up to the idea of having or bringing in more running back talent, right?
Ooh. I got it. I can tell you because I've seen it. They're like, we need pass rush. We need pass rush. We don't need
So
him
we
because
do.
we have Tyler, and we need pass rush. That's what they're saying.
So that is
Imagine
true.
turning your nose up at a running back who like fits your scheme, but going to bat for a tight end that doesn't catch the ball in this like
Hey,
Crazy.
hey, I posted this on Twitter, and I think you commented on it, but like, yo, hey man, we need to holler at the Jaguars. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, whatever y'all first round pick is, we can make a little package. Let Kyle Pitts go flourish out there with Trevor Lawrence. Like let them go be a great pass combination. They don't really have a lot of weapons. They actually pass the ball. He can actually get him the ball and actually have a great
Doug
career.
Peterson's a better coach than Arthur Smith, so
That
Oh,
part.
wait. Time out. Start. Time out. Dang it. Oh, never mind. Shit. I read it wrong.
Okay.
Continue.
What do you think you read? I'm curious what you was about to say.
I thought that we were interviewing for an OC,
That'd be great.
but it's actually the Titans are interviewing a Falcons quarterback coach for the OC position. My
I
bad. I
said,
got
well, why
very
would you do
excited.
that?
I got so excited for a second.
Hey, if they're offering that man a bag, get out of here because you just finesse. You just scammed your way to a different job. That's they saw what happened in Atlanta. It was like, yeah, we want you, guy. You're the man for the job over here. But yeah, so it's weird because people use the best player available argument to justify
For
Kyle
everything.
Pitts, but then if it ends up being another player, say Bijan Robinson, then all of a sudden that argument goes out the window. But then next year, but when the next draft comes around, and Brock Bowers is available, then all of a sudden, oh BPA, oh go bring the dog home, all that stuff will come back to the forefront. So, like Jalen said, the BPA shit it's not real. It's just something that people say, coach speak type situation. But we'll see. We will see what happens as things progress. So,
Yeah.
I know Jalen.
Man, you just made me so sad.
Oh
Cause
God,
I mean, I get one more year of Brock Bowers, man.
nah, man, he'll be until the Falcons draft him and not use him. So,
That's what I
yeah,
mean. I get one more year of Brock Bowers.
damn.
Because if the
So.
Falcons get him, I'll never hear from him again.
No, man, you'll hear about his great work in the trenches, passing and developing into a full player. Which,
He's
again, you
already a
don't.
good blocker. He's a better blocker than Kyle Pitts.
That's
Yeah,
the
talking good.
joke. That's the joke. You don't draft a guy at number 4 overall to have to develop him into a well-rounded player. You drafted him for one reason and one reason only: to catch
To catch the
touchdowns,
ball.
not being the trenches down blocking defensive tackles and linebackers. I'm not saying that's not part of the job, but like that's not why you're here.
They brought in 6 tight ends. Let them do that. You go catch the ball.
Hey man, nah man, they want an equal opportunity tight end room. Everybody is the same. There's no divas here. All right, bro.
Yeah,
Got it.
sure. Sure. Have fun with that.
Yeah. Well, anywho, as we wrap, because I know Jalen's got to go, and I am just I have no more words for this bum ass team. But DC thing, I don't think we'll get Brian Flores because why would Brian Flores when it comes to the Falcons? That to
Yeah,
me that
there's
doesn't make any
no
sense.
benefit to him to do that
Yeah,
at
it
all.
sounds
Like,
exciting for
no
Falcons
benefit at
fans,
all.
but yeah, why leave a stable organization like the Pittsburgh Steelers to come to a cesspool?
I was saying, like, for all the shit that people give, like Dan Quinn and other people, like maybe just Dan Quinn had a ton of connections, but people liked working with him and for him. And everybody that he had on his like original coaching staff got either poached or like retired. So like Arthur Smith has not had that kind of success. Like obviously he's only had 2 years. So it is
Yeah.
what it is. So like, but like even his like original coaching staff was not like inspiring. It was like, okay. Like Dean Pease was the best part, and he couldn't do the impossible, which is fix the Falcons defense. So like, why are we expecting somebody else to?
So real quick on that, is that I was gonna make a list, and again, I'm trying not to be like hypercritical of Arthur Smith. Again, I'm a wait and see guy, but if we were to compile a list of questionable decisions made by an organization or a new front office, and I asked this question on Twitter, like, why do you bring in a 70-year-old defensive coordinator, right? And the reason that I got was that like his son runs the same like type of defense, and that he was gonna step in and be the DC whenever he left, like kind of succession plan. But it doesn't look like that's the case.
It's not happening.
So that begs the question: why, as a new regime, you don't draft a quarterback? You bring
Familiarity, I
in
guess.
you bring in a 70-year-old defensive coordinator. You know is not going to be long for the long haul with this team, as you want to quote unquote. Well, another thing they
They
said is
said
like,
it.
oh,
No, you
we're
can
not
say it.
rebuilding.
They said they're
They
competing.
said we're not rebuilding.
They did.
Verbatim.
Yeah.
They said they are competing.
Competing.
So in the midst of now a rebuild, whether they want to admit it or not, you've not given yourself kind of the foundation to do that, and it's almost like okay, again, it's kind of like a sleight of hand type thing. Like, hey, look at our great running game. Um, look at Tyler Algier, look at Drake London, but don't look at anything else as our house is like kind of crumbling. It's like they're kind of moving out to see their pants. Like it doesn't seem like there was a great plan. And I say that to
There
say you
wasn't.
look at other coaches or you look at other organizations like the Lions or the Jags. And there's another team that was pretty bad and hired a new coach. The Eagles, I'll give them a pass because they have a really good team prior to that, but it's still big organizational changes, and they're finding ways to make it work. And I'm just like, your peers are kind of passing you, but you're still kind of getting the benefit of the doubt, which I'm not really understanding. So that's why I'm like, is he going to be here for the long haul? Is he going to be given the runway to improve this team? I don't know. And I think that's going to be tied to the quarterback play, which again goes back to my first thing. Why not bring in a quarterback that does everything that you need to do to be successful and is dynamic? I just don't get it.
No,
Look,
this will be the second off season where they've big game hunted. So, well, hopefully,
yeah,
hopefully
fingers
they
crossed.
had a plan with that. We'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do. Because if not, like I said a couple years ago, Terry's an op. I done told y'all. I don't know why nobody want to listen to me. He came here as a op, as a plant from the man down in New Orleans to take us down. Told y'all. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I
All
believe
right.
you.
Well, I think we hit a majority of the talking points. Hopefully, we can return to you guys sooner than later. But we appreciate you guys supporting us. Definitely subscribe, do all the stuff you're supposed to do. Anybody have any closing words?
Nah, go dogs. 2-time champion, baby.
We back to back, Shotty. Woof
Stop
woof.
saying we.
It's we.
Mm.
You weren't there for the Tennessee fluke catch.
Yes, I
So
was. It was a fluke. So we're
Okay,
not
all right,
doing
all
anything.
right, all right. We're
I
done.
was very upset
so
when that happened.
Uh
I
huh.
guess quick Georgia story. I don't really watch college football. I don't know how you guys had the bandwidth to do like the Falcons, college, the Hawks, and all that stuff. But when they fired Mark Richt, I almost committed to being a Georgia Bulldogs fan just because I'm from the state of Georgia, and they had like a new regime, so I won't be called a bandwagoner or whatever. And then I was like, nah, I'm good. And then they proceed to win two national championships. So
We back to back, Shotty.
yeah, so I didn't want to be that
Gang,
person. But
gang,
again, I don't
gang.
have the bandwidth to keep up with college sports like that. So
It's
Falcons
just
are
it's just college football. I don't like college basketball. I don't like anything else. It's just college football. That's it.
Stetson
facts.
Bennett is the truth.
No comment.
Oh,
Let's end the
also
show.
too, everybody listening, if you want to hear a funny bit on Stetson Bennett, check out the KTSCF episode dropping tomorrow. It'll give you a good chuckle. So,
And y'all
but yeah,
better fucking subscribe. Because he's been
yeah,
holding it down all off season talking about Falcons shit while I have not been doing that.
it's cathartic. It's therapy, I guess, in a way. But anywho, appreciate y'all. Yeah, peace.